Howdy folks, Tex Grebner here with Tex Grebner Outdoors. If you don't know the difference between water and piss and you're thirsty, you'll probably drink piss just because it's wet. This is a takedown PVC recurve. This is good for what it is, but it is junk, okay? Now if you want to make PVC bows with your kids, I'm not trying to shit on your birthday cake, but if you're serious about archery, it requires an investment. Now you can say, well, I can make PVC bows at home. Okay, it's going to take you a couple of attempts to make one that's actually going to work, and by the time that you buy the PVC, buy the heat gun, and make the forms to press these out with, you might as well gone with the other options that I'm going to show you. I do not have any faith in PVC bows, and I'll explain why. The archery industry does one thing particularly well, and that is make money. If PVC is so cheap and PVC is so awesome, then why does nobody in the archery industry make bows out of PVC professionally? I'm not trying to slam the backyard bowyer. He does what he does and he's good at what he does. But in the past 60 years of archery, as it's been updated, do you think the industry missed out on the big secret of how awesome PVC bows are? Or maybe PVC is not a good bow material. You can make something that looks like a bow and will fling arrows, but this bow does not have a shelf, okay? It is not a good way to learn archery. Meanwhile, you can say, oh, well, PVC bows are for hunting. Okay, I bow hunted with a traditional recurve for about 50 days this year and had an empty season. I would have starved to death if I actually had to live with a bow and arrow in my hand. Fred Bear said you can get awful hungry hunting with a bow and arrow. So, could I make this work if I absolutely had to make a PVC bow work and hunt with it or defend myself with it? Yeah, I probably could. Is it my first choice? Do I recommend anybody get into PVC archery? Absolutely not. And quite frankly, I bought this PVC bow off eBay plain and simply so that I could see if it was worth a damn, and it looks like a bow and it shoots arrows, but it is crap. It is absolutely terrible. It is slow, but don't be offended. If you don't know the difference between piss and water, then you'll drink piss just because it's wet. So now that I've got that out of the way, let's talk about some real archery options. Here are two bows that I have been supposed to give you guys reviews on for quite a while. This is a Samick Sage in 50 pounds. This is a classic Martin Jaguar in 50 pounds. They're both takedown recurves. They are both good recurves, and they're both attainable for $200 shipped to your door. Okay? There is absolutely no excuse for deciding to make a PVC bow. These are two really good options under $200, and there's no excuse. Oh, but blah. Listen, I don't have all the money in the world, and I work very hard for my money, so I tend to have a good opinion on the bare minimum that you can get by on. Now, there are two game changers on these bows, one per bow, and that is both of these bows have NAP rests on them. That allows me to shoot with regular veined arrows. so it becomes even more cost effective. Now the Samick Sage is actually 2 inches longer than the Martin Jaguar. This is a 62-inch bow. The Jaguar is a 60-inch bow. So this does have a slightly more obtuse string angle, so you can shoot it a little bit more clean. But I'm going to be honest with you, you don't really get into finger pinch so much when you are in these bows until you get down to something like, say, a Martin Water Reaper style Jaguar, where it's got a very acute string angle. But the Samick Sage and the Martin Jaguar both are very good bows for under $200. The Samick Sage doesn't come looking like this. I've tricked this bow out with the snake tape and the stag bolts. But this wire rest allows me to shoot any arrow, whether it's got feathers, it's a bow fishing arrow, or whether it's got blazer or 4-inch vanes. So this bow is made by Samick. It's not an American company. This bow is made by Martin, which is an American company, but they're not actually made in the United States anymore, I believe. I could be wrong. But they're both good bows, and I recommend them both. It just depends on aesthetics. I've been asked to make this video for a long time, comparing the Sage and the Jaguar, because they're both in the same price range. If you like the look of a wood riser, or if you like the look of this aluminum riser, it's up to you. The 2 inches of limb difference doesn't really matter. It's negligible. They both shoot equally well, and they are both in the same price range. There is no excuse when you can get these two bows for under $200 shipped to your door, and then go to Walmart and buy aluminum arrows for using dowel rods and PVC bows. Both of these bows I would take to the woods and actually hunt with. I have hunted in the past with both the Sage and the Jaguar. I have bow fished with a Sage. I have bow fished with a Jaguar. They're both good bows for the price that they are. And they both shoot as well as you can shoot them. As you can see, they are cut past center, which means that the arrow comes straight out of the bow. It is an arrow shelf. Now the Jaguar does require a rest. The Sage, I use an adhesive flipper rest on it, but it works just fine shooting with feathers off the shelf. But for versatility, and so that I don't have to care about my arrows, I just go ahead and use these Easton XX75s off of both of them. As you can see, I'm a lot more familiar with the Jaguar, to tell you the truth. But they're both good bows. I like them both. I own them both. I originally started out in traditional archery with a Martin Jaguar. I traded it on something else. I actually traded it on a Sage, and I missed it so much. Not that there's anything wrong with the Sage, but I missed my Jaguar so much, I rebought it, and then I bought the Martin Water Reaper. Now normally I use the Water Reaper limbs on this riser. You can check out my archery play shooting video. But these are both good bows. They are not PVC bows. The only downside to the Jaguar that I have to tell you is there are bushings that you can lose if you're putting this together. It does take tools to put the Jaguar together. The Sage limb bolts are toolless, but they're both really good bows, under 200 bucks. So, okay, $200, well actually $300 will buy you a Martin Jaguar, an NAP flipper rest to upgrade the rest, and a dozen Easton XX75s with field points. For $300, you're in archery, and ain't nobody gonna laugh at you like they would if you showed up to a bow shop saying you wanted arrows for your PVC bow. With that being said, odds are if you got a PVC bow, you're not going to be really shooting real arrows out of it. You're not going to be going to a bow shop. You're going to be putting duct tape on dowel rods and being a danger to yourself. But I really do like both the Samick Sage and the Martin Jaguar. You can't go wrong with either of them. They both come in similar limb weight configurations. Now you can see I'm just chucking them down in the snow. Why? Because they're rugged. You know, I dare anybody, go ahead, drop your compound bow on concrete, see what happens. Drop your recurve on concrete, hey, it's probably not going to blow apart. But I hope you guys enjoyed watching. I finally got around to reviewing both the Samick Sage and the Martin Jaguar in the same video. They're both good bows. It just depends on how you want it to look. The difference between string length or limb length, in my opinion, is pretty much negligible. So as always, God bless all my sportsmen of America. Join the NRA to protect our rights. Please check out my friends over at legallyconcealed.org. Thank you very much to those of you involved in law enforcement and those of you serving in the military. And thanks for watching Texas Grebner Outdoors.